IVM.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories, India's very own travel podcast, where each week we share the journey of travelers in their own words and relive their experiences with you, our listeners.
Hey guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories. Hope you're all well and keeping safe. A very, very happy new year to all our listeners. We hope that this new year brings you a lot of success, good health, wealth, and traveling. We look forward to exploring India with you in 2024. On the podcast today, we have Krishan Insan, a traveler and listener who is taking us to a very offbeat place to kick off the new year. So let's hop onto the episode and find out more. So with that introduction, we'd love to welcome Krishan Insan to the Musafir Stories, one of our very dear listeners and second time guest on the podcast. Krishan, really happy to have you back on the Musafir Stories and welcome.
Thank you very much, Saif. Thank you for having me again. Looking forward.
Yeah, for those of you who are listening to Krishan for the first time, Krishan did a wonderful episode covering Tripura on the podcast not too long ago. We did that episode earlier this year, and I'll make sure we link that in the description as well, so you have a ready reckoner. But yeah, Krishan does a variety of very offbeat, hidden, off the beaten path type of itineraries. So really looking forward to our conversation today as well. But for first-time listeners, Krishan, if you give our listeners a quick introduction about yourself, please, that'd be helpful.
Sure. Thank you, Saif. And I'm Krishan Insan. I'm an energy professional and a vivid traveler. Those who has had an opportunity to listen to my last podcast, I started traveling very early in my young age. And most recently, I have been exploring almost every state of India. A couple of more to go, and then it will be 36 out of 36, which includes all states and UTs. And have been fortunate to travel in many countries as well, with different kind of travel, be it adventure, be it history, museums, etc., etc. And Northeast, as far as Northeast is concerned, it has been very close to my heart. Have been fortunate to cover all 7 states and had wonderful experience at Tripura discussing with Saf on the last podcast. Those who did not had a chance to look at that will be very happy if you can go through and see that. Looking forward, Saf, for this episode, please.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Krishan. Again, you've given us a little bit of a background in terms of the types of experiences and destinations that you usually cover off. But on the podcast today, can you also tell us and our listeners where you're taking us to?
Yes, definitely. So as I mentioned that Northeast is close to my heart. In each and every state of Northeast, if you see that there is festival culture, they celebrate different occasions as the state festival. This time it was an opportunity to explore Mizoram. It was on my list for long, but I always wanted to go there for the festival season, and nothing can be better than Chapchar Kut festival to go to Mizoram. Of course, my motivation was not only to go for the festival, but also to cover Blue Mountain, the only blue mountain in India, which is amazing and which is very difficult for me, in fact, to describe in the words. It is something which one has to experience. I'll try to do justice with explaining and proving it as a guide for you, those who plan to visit and do the trekking on Blue Mountains in Mizoram.
Lovely. Really looking forward to this. And yes, even within the Northeast and the Seven Sisters, as we call the Northeastern states, Mizoram is definitely one of the lesser explored states, right? Even from a tourist or traveler footfall perspective, you probably felt that. Even though the festival season usually sees a lot more footfall, but compared to some of the others like Nagaland and Arunachal, this place in this state is definitely less explored, and that's why we are even more eager to be exploring this and some of the culture and the tradition and the natural beauty of this place, as with a lot of the other northeastern states. So let's dive into the episode and find out a little bit more. But before we do that, why don't you also help us set a little bit of a context about this place? You did mention about the festival that you're looking forward to exploring, but even from a historical and a cultural perspective, you could add a couple of lines about Mizoram itself. We can then hop on to how you got there and when is a good time to get there.
Definitely, and you have very well explained, Saf, that very less explored place, and I personally feel that is an opportunity for a traveler, to go to the places where you don't find much crowd and less commercialization. All these are advantages as long as the place is not much explored. So, as far as historical context is concerned, Mizoram, as the name suggests, it is a land of Mizos, and it was earlier part of Assam, but later on it was made a separate state, and based on Meso Hills, it was become Mizoram. Particularly when we talk about festivals in Mizoram state, there are various festivals which are primarily based on different seasons, or we can say, Juming cultivation. Meme Coat is one, Chapchar Kut, and then Pal Kut. These are different, historical, cultural festival of the state. But we are going to talk about Chapchar Kut here, which is, celebrated, if we talk from calendar point of view, sometime in the month of March. So yes, we will be talking about Chapchar Kut today.
Okay, yeah, really, again, from a cultural perspective, too, very, very vibrant with a lot of festivals and celebrations. So, we will touch upon a lot of those aspects during the conversation too. From a geographical standpoint, I know you mentioned from a historical standpoint that what it was previously known as, right? Like you mentioned, it was known as the Mizo Hills or the Lusha Hills, even in the past, and but, I think it was very recently that it gained full statehood too in sometime in the 80s. From a geographical perspective, do you want to just mention about getting there, how easy and how accessible it is as well, before we jump into the festivals and the other areas we'll cover in the podcast?
Sure. So, thanks to the recent development in the infrastructure field, and I'll say that Aizawl is the capital city of Mizoram, which is very well connected with almost all airports in India: Delhi, Calcutta, Guwahati. You have direct flights from whichever part of the world you are traveling. If you are traveling from outside India, Delhi and Calcutta are well connected international airports, and you will have a direct flight for Aizawl from Delhi or Calcutta. Or if you are traveling domestically, Guwahati is good place which connects to Aizawl. This is about air connectivity. As far as train connectivity is concerned, then you can travel to Silchar, which is in Assam, and from Silchar there is a train line to Mizoram, and that is the only. Actually, there is only one railway station in Mizoram which connects you to Silchar, and then you can roam around. The same goes with road connectivity as well. Either you can connect from Silchar or Agartala, wherever. I'll say that it is well connected nowadays with flight, train, or road.
And also happens to be, again, some of the challenges with train connectivity and stuff like that is, one, the terrain, and two, it also happens to be almost the southernmost tip of the eastern part of India, right? And that way it's also bordered by Bangladesh and Myanmar. So even strategic from that perspective, given that a lot of the trade into Southeast Asia happens through the state. Cool. Let's jump into the conversation and about your itinerary itself. You did mention that the Chapchar Kut was the intention or one of the main priorities on the agenda. But otherwise, when do you recommend is a good time to visit a place like Mizoram?
Yes, so any time between October to March is good time to visit Mizoram, for that matter, Seth. But I will strongly recommend if somebody is traveling to any of the northeastern states, and there are festival almost every season. We have various season in the country, and if one can plan their trip in and around the festivals, they will have an opportunity to know the northeastern culture closely, and also to experience the local food, meet people from diverse communities. So whenever I have traveled to northeastern states, I have planned my trips around in and around some festival. So this time my intention, I have been planning for trekking to Blue Mountain, as I mentioned, for quite some time, but I intendedly planned it during the Chapchar Kut festival. So we reached Aizawl just a day before Chapchar Kut, and first day was Chapchar Kut festival of our itinerary.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, like you mentioned, one of the USPs of a lot of these places in the Northeast is the lively traditions and the culture, right? So many different tribes, and I think Mizoram also has one of the highest number of tribes for a given state. So that way, it definitely makes sense to visit during the festival season. That way, you could actually get to see. Or sample a lot of these different tribes and their ways of life, their attire, their food, right? So there's so many different things which otherwise, if you're just traveling, say, other times of the year, it might be hard to see in one place. So that way, too, if you're traveling there for a short time, like a week or a couple of weeks, it might be best to travel during one of these major festivals. And let's talk a little bit more about Chapchar Kut. Kut is, I guess, Mizo for festival, right? That's what I'm assuming.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about this festival and your experience there? Like once you got here, what you saw and what are the different things one can expect?
Yes. So, as you are mentioning about tribes, there are primarily four tribes in Mizoram, like which constitutes majority is Lushai, Lai, Mara, and Chakma, which are based in different regions of Mizoram. But if you happen to be at Chapchar Kut festival, you'll see all the tribes coming together and celebrating the festival. How will you identify that which community is from coming from which tribe? Their dress is different from one from another. Their food habits are different. Their dances are different. So all tribes come together and they perform there. In fact, I'll suggest those who are planning for Chipcharkut festival be conscious of reaching at least a day before, because if you try to reach on the same day, you won't be able to make it to the Chipcharkut festival venue, because the city is completely choked on the festival day. The huge traffic on the road and everybody's out celebrating. So basically, Chipcharkut festival is celebrating the festivities in their own way. They have different kind of performances, dance performance, and there are various handicraft stalls. This is a state festival, so a lot of state officials will be there in the program, and college students will be there. This year we had seen that top functionaries of the state, including political leaders, in fact bands coming from Shillong and from other parts of the country, they are performing there. But the center of attraction for us was the bamboo dance, which is the most famous dance of Mizoram. The way they perform the bamboo dance is, of course, we have seen that on video, but we wanted to experience that in person. So that is the center attraction of Chapchar festival. And in terms of food, you'll have an opportunity to have all kind of vegetarian and non-vegetarian food stalls in the festival, based on their community. And the important thing, which I like most of the food stalls what you see there are organically and locally grown, and they will make the final product out of those things, which was amazing to see. And you can have rice beer, local rice beer, different kind of pork, and all other non-veg items, as well as for vegetarian people also, they have lot many things. In fact, I was surprised to see that there were a lot of not only handicrafts. In fact, weavers were there. Those who were displaying what they have weaved, and different dresses of Mizo. You can buy them, you can order them, then they will deliver to you. So I think there was no space in the whole ground. The festival is always celebrated in Assam Rifles Parade Ground, which is the biggest parade ground in Aizawl, and it was full.
Yeah, very interesting, very, very colorful, and by what you're saying too, like there's a lot of different things to experience, and one of the primary things being the bamboo dance, right? A lot of us might have remembered seeing this on television, right? Important events like the Republic Day or this one, whenever there's a representation from different states, the bamboo dance is one that's always up there. A very complicated dance also of sorts, right? It's like bamboos being brought together in a very rhythmic fashion, and it's usually women dancing in between those in a lot of different motions. So yeah, very, very pleasing to the eye. I'm glad that you had a chance to experience that. And even their attire, like you mentioned, especially I saw a lot of them from some of the videos I was looking up. A lot of them had this almost white attire with colorful check marks and embroidery of different colors on them, right? I'm not sure what it's called, but I saw a lot of them. It's probably one of the major tribes there, but that was something I saw.
I think you said very well, Seth. When we landed a day before the Chapchar Kut festival on the airport, we saw a group of beautiful ladies of different tribes there for welcoming that guest coming for Chapchar Kut festival. And 2023 being was the G20 year. Very recently, the G20 event also happened in Aizawl. So the airport was very much decorated for welcoming international delegations to Aizawl, and that was the I will say that was the first place we could actually understand that how their dresses are different one from another tribe, and there is minor difference. If you see them one at one place and second at another place and third at third place, you might not be able to identify what was the difference between A, B and C. But if you see them together, in fact the cap, the ladies which they wear are is also decorated with various flowers and all other stuff, which is that is also different from tribe to tribe. So if you are going for Chapchar Kut festival, you'll definitely have a group of people who will be welcoming you at airport with their different attires, with their different food and everything. So yes, that was interesting to see. As you mentioned about the complication of the dance, I always wondered when I was watching, in fact, for hours and hours on the entire day. It is very complicated in terms of you have to be very conscious and very disciplined between your when you move your steps. If you delay for a microsecond, the entire chorus will be gone. So yes, that was what we were intending to see and have been watching for years and years without blinking our eyes.
Yeah, so a lot of very interesting experiences, and thank you for sharing all of them with us, Krishan. And like you mentioned, right now, obviously, it is the state festival, you could say almost, but primarily most of these festivals are actually around the harvest season, right? Harvest or whatever related to agriculture and farming. Most of them are related to that, but right now it's become almost a way to also showcase the different tribes and cultures of the state, which is a great way, especially for people traveling from outside, to sample a lot of the important ways of life of the different tribes of the state. Thank you for sharing those with us. So, having spent some time here, I'm assuming what this is probably a good few hours during the day, I'm assuming, right, at the parade grounds?
Yes, so it was entire day. In fact, we reached there very early because we wanted to grab a good place and have a very good view. And the program went the entire day. We have had opportunity to try different dishes. One of the dish being vegetarian, I definitely want to mention about which people should try is kot pitha. This is again miso dish, fried sweet dish actually, and very good for vegetarian people. It is basically made of two ingredients, which is rice flour and banana. But I experienced this kot pitha in Chapchar Kut festival, and then I liked it so much. I wanted to have it again, but I did not get it on any other place in the smaller cities and smaller village. So Chapchar Kut is the best place to try this.
Yeah, good point that even to try out the different foods in one place, festivals like these are a great opportunity. Awesome. So, having spent some time here and pretty much the whole day here, what was on the agenda next?
So yes, so we had an opportunity to go for another private Chapchar festival in the evening, which was more of we wanted to see the nightlife culture in the city. It was a very youth-oriented program and organized by some band club in Aizawl, which was a paid one, but we like that as well. There we get to know, meet lot many local people, and if you are in the city in and around Chipchakut plus minus 2 days, then you can have couple of such events happening in the city.
Okay, okay, wonderful. And just gives you a little bit of variety as well. Something private, something a little more closed and intimate.
Exactly.
So if you have the time for it, definitely do take that up as well. Now, having spent, I mean, pretty much your full day or a couple days, I would say, in terms of getting here and then next day looking at the festival, experiencing the festival, has gone towards Chapchar Kut. What was on the itinerary after this?
So we had a long day ahead, because, as I mentioned at the opening, we were intending to go for Blue Mountain, and which is far from Aizawl. As you mentioned as well, that southernmost tip of the northeastern part, but in fact, we were going to southernmost of the southernmost. So we intended to reach the place called Sangau. From Aizawl to Sangau next day, which was our stay place. This day was going to be entirely in the journey to reach Sangau, where we were supposed to stay overnight in the state guest house and then start our trekking on the following day. So we started in the morning, very super morning, and when we woke up and started our journey at 5 a.m., we saw that city is already awake and a lot of local vegetables and fruits are on the road for the selling. That was again amazing thing to see. Why? Because the previous day the entire state was in the Chipchakut festival, but next day the life runs like as usual. And we have had an opportunity to see lot many local vegetables and fruits, which I personally have never seen or come across before in my life. So this was a kind of sightseeing for us, on the go as well, and we did some shopping. But our first stop was half an hour from the city, maybe an hour, was Falcon Village, which is actually traditional Mizo village, which is developed for the tourism purpose, where you'll get to see the kind of houses different tribes has in Mizoram, the kind of kitchens they have, houses they have, what kind of outer layout they have, and what different tribes, what kind of internal architecture of their houses. So a good place to spend an hour there and understand the culture. There you'll get a guide who will explain about the traditions and about the features and about the work of different tribes. So yes, that was a good an hour stop away from Aizawl on the way to Sangau.
Okay. And you mentioned that this is almost like a full day type of a journey getting to the Blue Mountain. Is that
Yes.
right? Okay. Any other points of interest along the way then, Krishan?
Yes, so it was a good day. We covered couple of more things on the go. After Falcon Village, we got to see the Tropic of Cancer, which is passing through, and then we moved. The one important thing which I want to mention about when you're traveling to Mizoram, there is a state guest house in every city or even every small village. So you need not to worry about your food, stay, and fresh getting freshen up and all those things. Wherever you go, whichever village you pass, you'll get state guest house, and you can stay there, you can have food. So what we did is we went to Wantang waterfall, which is very famous in Mizoram, and the importance of Vantang waterfall, what we saw is that you can have view from where it is falling as well as 180-degree from that place. So first we went from where the waterfall was falling down, and then we went just opposite to that, and we could have a look that, oh, we were there. And this is one of the highest waterfall in Mizoram, and it comes in top 10 in India as well.
Okay, wonderful. And actually reminds me a couple of things we probably missed mentioning at the beginning of the episode too. One, being in the north and northeastern part of the country, the days start very early, right? That's why no surprises that you saw the vendors in the market really, really early, and also days end very early too. So that's something you might have to keep in mind as you're planning an itinerary here. And the other bit was an important bit actually, and might still be valid. An inner line permit, right? The permit to get into the state is something that is still required. Is that correct, Krishan?
Yes. Nowadays, the process of getting an ILP is very easy. For that matter, you just need to apply it online, and you'll get it. For us, it was done in couple of hours. But I'll not suggest to keep it so short. Have 2-3 days in hand, and it is very easily. It can be very easily done online. You just need to upload your photo and Aadhaar card, and then pay a nominal fee of 50 rupees or 100 rupees to get it done.
Yeah, again, just an important call out that I missed at the beginning, but thank you for covering that off too. And yeah, in terms of natural beauty, the northeastern states, I mean, we don't have to explain how much there is, right? There's a lot of it, and especially waterfalls as well. It's no surprise that we have a lot of these in Mizoram too. And having spent some time here, where did you head off to from here?
So it was time for lunch, and of course, people who are traveling from bigger cities will definitely appreciate that what a better place can be than having your lunch at golf course. And Thinzol golf course was an amazing place, almost midway from Aizawl to Siaha. But only thing you need to keep remember is that you just need to make a call to them an hour or two before if you want to have your main course there, because as Seth has mentioned at the beginning itself, that it is still very less explored, unexplored area. So they don't keep food ready, but they will prepare you on order. So it ensures that you are getting good and fresh food. But I'll strongly recommend people who are traveling on this route, they should try the food at Thenjol Golf Course. After our lunch at Thenjol Golf Course, we spent some time there because we liked the place. It was a bright sunny day. And then our next stop was directly Sangau Tourist Lodge, which you need to book in advance. Either you can do it online from the Mizoram State tourism site, or all the tourist lodges mobile number and landline numbers are given on their website. You can book it on the call as well. So yes, our day ended with checking in at Sangau Tourist Lodge.
Okay, wonderful. So Sangao Tourist Lodge can almost be referred to as the base camp, right? From where you basically head off towards the Blue Mountain. And is that the plan for the next day then?
Yes, yeah, as you mentioned already, that northeast, if you are going from the western part of the country or even southern part of the country, just consider that there is a 2 hour difference. And we again woke up at 5, had our breakfast, and wonderful sunrise. I won't say sunrise; it was already a very late sunrise for late woke up for us. We started, and yeah, then you have to actually travel another 7 kilometer to Thaltlang village, from where which is actually your starting point for the Blue Mountain. So from Sangau tourist lodge, you can take your car another 7 kilometer to Thaltlang village. From there, you have to have a bolero, or any 4x4 car, which can take you to the forest rest house, which will be actually the starting point of your trekking. So this 4x4 car is generally available from forest department only. So we drove another 7 kilometers from lodge, and then we had hired this forest bolero, which took us to the starting point of the trekking, Far Park Rest House. The place where you start walking is Far Park Rest House.
Okay. Just describe to us a little bit more in terms of the trek itself, right? Are we looking at like roughly how many hours of trek? And Blue Mountain, just for some context and for some reference, is the highest mountain peak in Mizoram, right? It's at 2,157 meters above sea level, I understand. So, yeah, you're looking at one of the highest mountain peaks in the state. How much time does it take in terms of just the trek itself after you've gotten to the far park, the village or the starting point, Krishan?
Yes, so Fapak actually is a again forest base. You'll have drinking water there. You can sit and relax for some time. Forest officials, staff will also be there to help you out to guide for everything. You can freshen up again and before you start. So it depends on your fitness level. It is a track of 2.5 hours to 4 hours. We did it in 2.5 hours, depending on how many breaks and how long breaks you take in between. It is a 2.5 hour to 4 hours. I'll say 3 hours is the ideal time which it will take to. So we started at like around 7:30, and we reached there at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
It was beautiful, misty view, and we spent like couple of hours there. We had picnic there, and then when we start coming back, downhill track was in 2 hours.
Okay. Yeah, again, just in terms of the importance of this place too, it's considered to be very revered and sacred place as well, according to a lot of myths and traditions of the region. And again, the name Blue Mountain, from what I understand, is that there's always like a thin layer of clouds, again, that these ranges are so high. That the appearance is almost like it's blue in color, right? That's how it looks all the time, and that's how it gets its name as the Blue Mountain as well. But it's a part of these Lushai Hills, right? That's the range. And again, we, like Krishan mentioned at the beginning too, that in the past this was referred to as the Lushai Hills of Assam, right? So it's a very, very significant place too, and I'm glad that you got to trek all the way to the top and get all of the scenic views and absorb all of those scenic views from the peak. So in total, I would say getting to the top, spending some time there and back down the journey, which you mentioned was a couple of hours, is almost bringing you to around lunchtime, I think, 3 o'clock or so, or like how much time did it take by the time you were back?
So I think I'll say that this is the entire day business again, as you mentioned that the day start couple of hours before, so it ends also before. So when you're traveling to northeast, you should end your day by not late than 4 o'clock, I think. So yes, we came back by 3:30 or 4, and that was end of our day actually.
Okay, wonderful. So for that day, are you basically
No, so we stayed back again in Siaha Tourist Lodge. We stayed
okay?
previous night, and
Okay.
if you're going for Blue Mountain Track, 2 days stay in Siaha Tourist Lodge is advisable actually.
Okay, wonderful. So, yeah, again, it's been a packed itinerary so far, too, right? In terms of different types of things you've been doing, too, right? From getting a feel of the cultural side of the state through the festivals and a nature part of the or nature side of the state as well through trekking to the Blue Mountain. What was on the agenda next, Roshan?
So next is another very exciting place. To be honest, I did not know much about that place before I went there. I read about that, and that was in my list. But I really wanted to know from the local people that is that worth going or not, or whether the place is accessible or not. So the next place was Castle of Beuno, which is also called Great Canyon of Mizoram. If you just Google it, Great Canyon of Mizoram, it will show up, and I'm sure many people think of going to Grand Canyon and so many other places. Yeah, for me, it was much more soothing and pleasant place for me. So we started from Siaha in the morning again, and about 3 hours journey, 3 to 4 hours journey from Siaha, and you reach down south, which is almost Bangladesh, and on Bangladesh border, the Great Canyons of Mizoram. The architectural structure or the castle, the way it is, it has developed over thousands or lakhs of or millions of years. is great structure. The the place is very important from geological aspect as well, and it has history of ancient time. So the view is just stunning, I'll say. The place is very less explored. You will not get any crowd there, and local people have small boats there, indigenous boats. You can sit in the indigenous boat and have a trip to the entire canyon till end. And in fact, we had an opportunity to float on the bamboo boats as well. There, just they will tie up the four bamboos and they'll ask you to sit on that, and they'll take you miles and miles.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, natural rock formation formed by the river, right? That's what the structure is, and it has the appearance of a grand castle. That's why it's referred to as the Castle of Beuno or Beuno, like you mentioned. But basically, the Kaladan is the river, I believe, right? And this, I don't know, it comes in from Myanmar or Bangladesh, but it goes across borders to the river, and over thousands or I don't know how many years it's been formed, and it's really beautiful. And just getting around here is also an adventure and experience in itself, right? Like you mentioned, on those small, really thin, narrow boats. These are still speed boats, like motorboats, but still indigenous, like prepared locally there. And just getting around the place is an adventure and an experience in itself. How much time does the whole experience take? Like getting to the starting point, then hopping onto a boat and getting around the actual rock formations?
So yes, so it is all about how much time you want to spend amid the nature. Actually, Saf, we reached there at 11, and we were there almost entire day. I will say we were not even willing to come back even then. Why? Because I had very solid reasons. Like couple of reasons which I wanted to mention is that there is no speedboat, all manual boats. First thing to
Oh yeah,
note,
okay,
yes,
okay.
and the second is. Of course, we was scared initially when we were asked to sit on just four bamboos tied together with each other by just a plastic rope or a jute rope. And once we got comfortable on that in 10 or 15 minutes, then we were not coming off of that. And the river is coming from Myanmar actually. And the local people, they treat you like god, literally, as we say in Indian culture as well, Atithi Devo Bhava. They got us food prepared from their home and bringing for us at the place, and it was a complete picnic. It became a picnic spot for us. Only a couple of us were there. The water flow was very high, and the current was very high. So we wanted to have life jackets. They arranged life jackets for us. So it depends how much time you want to spend. If you are happy to spend the entire day, you won't get bored in the entire day as well.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because when I was looking up, there was motorboats that were also an option. But yeah, I guess given that this is not very mainstream, depending on how many people are there or who's available, you may have one option or the other. But I'm glad that you got to experience it here, right? And I can totally understand the references to the Grand Canyon too, right? Like the Grand Canyon was formed by the Great Colorado River. This is also similar formations that have been formed, but they're also very unique, I would say. And it also has a lot of similar folklore associated to it too. Again, like you mentioned, it's some believe that this is not haunted, but jinxed castle of sorts that could never
Yes,
stand. But
yes,
again, a lot of this is folklore.
exactly.
So treat as you wish to, but definitely must visit place, I would say. Even and like you rightly mentioned, right, not at all very mainstream. The only people you probably run into there is a handful of locals, right? It's not even like a crowded
Yes,
place like the
yes.
Grand Canyon is, or if some of you have been there. So if you get a chance, definitely make sure to add this to your itinerary and explore this area. And again, just a very different type of experience also. And I'm glad actually this whole itinerary has been like that, right? It's been a good mix of different types of things too, right? From
Eh,
the festivals to the trekking to the rock formation now in which you're taking a boat.
Yes. In fact, by virtue of the biodiversity here, we moved next to Palak Lake, which is an hour from the Great Canyon of Mizoram actually. And the
Okay.
intentions going to Palak Lake was appreciating the biodiversity again, and as well as for those I'll say that heaven for those who loves bird watching. We have had an opportunity to have number of birds, and we were told by the local peoples that whatever season you come, you'll get to see different birds at every season. There are migrated birds almost in every season coming from different places.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. And even the Blue Mountain, right? Technically speaking, that is, I can't remember if it's a sanctuary or a national park. I think Phang Pui National Park, right?
Phang Pui National Park. The place is called Phang Pui National Park actually.
Yeah, so it's known for a lot of different flora and fauna, and for those interested in birding, this can definitely be paradise. So, something to keep in mind as well. And this was the Palak Lake that you visited. You said after the castle. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm assuming this is like a full day type of
Yes,
experience, right?
after
Going
Palak
to.
Lake, we just stayed nearby Forest Guest House in the Fura village. It was great to spend evening in the Palak Lake actually, because evening is the best. Either morning or late evening is good time for bird watching. So we planned it that way that we reach Palak Lake so that we can have evening sunsetting bird watching there.
Okay, okay, wonderful. So, having spent some time, it's good like 3 or 4 days into your itinerary now. What was on your mind next?
So there were many other things which we have done, which included visiting the first ever missionary bungalows in India, in Mizoram, which is in Mizoram, and the lady who was first to get migrated as a missionary woman from western part of the world. She's still alive and is staying there in the bungalow. We have had chance to see her. And then again we went back to Thenzoil. Again, we had our dinner in the Thenzoil golf course. On our way back, we liked the food so much, and we decided to stay in Thenzoil. Then next day, people those who has been to Sandan Valley or in Meghalaya, different narrow valleys, will understand that we have had the same kind of Tuiramli Ghasi in Ghasi Lui on the way to Aizawl, which is like very narrow path between two rock formations, and the waterfall is going in between, which is actually you'll find in every promotional video of Mizoram state tourism. So we were excited to know and see that. We asked our guide or driver come guide that where is that, and he was like, oh, you want to go there, it is very far, or people don't go there, but we wanted to go, and he took us there. So it was amazing in couple of ways. Why I'm mentioning is that the space is very narrow. It has multiple running waterfalls in that, and if you're just excited that how beautiful the nature is, if you want to appreciate the nature, you must visit that place also. So it was like we spent an hour there, a couple of hours there, and then we moved to Aizawl back actually.
Okay. Can you help me with the pronunciation of the name again, Kishan?
Tuirum li Ghasi Lui.
Yeah, basically, Louis refers to the river, but yeah, like you rightly mentioned, it's one of the first images that will come up when you try to look up on Mizoram, and very beautiful serene green rivers with these really narrow boats or literally bamboo structures on which you're
Exactly.
traveling, right?
Yes.
So quite an experience in itself. So if you have a chance, definitely do stop by.
So the
Yeah.
beautiful thing into it is if you have got training in the castle, when you're visiting at Great Canyon of Mizoram, you have got trained to be brave to take a ride on bamboo boat, just bamboos actually. Then you are good to
Yeah.
you'll be very happy at this place, because boat doesn't fit at this place. That width of the
Yeah.
water body is not that much that there can be a river, there can be a even indigenous boat. No.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad that you could do it, and I'm glad that traveling on bamboo shoots almost as was handy, right, when you did it in the castle. Wonderful. So after spending time here, you mentioned that you were on your way back to Aizawl, right? After this.
Yes. So we reached Aizawl, and I'll suggest people who are staying in Aizawl to have a dinner in Aizawl Club as well. Wonderfully, very diverse food. If you want South Indian, you'll get South Indian. If you want Mizo food, you'll get Mizo food, Assamese food. For that matter, like whatever dishes you want, they have very wide variety of menus, and very good place to sit and spend an evening. Aizawl Club is a good place for dinner, at least a day when you are in the city. And that was technically our last or second last day. And next day we moved, and on the way back we just had a couple of hours in the morning to explore Khapok waterfall, and then we went to local market for shopping, handicraft, local stuff, and all those things.
Yeah, for sure. Again, obviously, your itinerary was very focused on some experiences, right? So you already had those in mind. But for others, like if you have time in hand, Aizawl can easily be its own itinerary, right? There's a lot of things to do, a lot of markets, a lot of things to shop about, eat, especially like places like the Bada Bazaar, right? Where you actually see the older style of markets. You can definitely go and explore those places too. So if you have a day or two spare, it can easily be spent looking at some of the different things and experiences Aizawl has to offer. Any final thoughts or places, suggestions in the vicinity that you would recommend visiting that you were not able to touch upon, Krishan?
Yes, so you mentioned very well, Saif. Actually, Aizawl itself can be an itinerary, and there were other places. There is a park, very famous park, Lal Savunga Park, and few small treks for an hour or half, or yes, can be done. So what we have discussed in this itinerary is primarily South Mizoram. So there are places in northern part as well as an eastern part, which itself is again a full itinerary. So we had planned for a week itinerary, which easily covered these three places, which were the entirely central theme of this talk, which was Chapchar Kut festival, then Blue Mountain, and then Castle of Beuno. So these were the three things which we intended to cover from southern Mizoram perspective. For eastern part and northern part, there can be another a week's itinerary.
Again, a lot of things to do. The only thing is the place is not very mainstream, and that's why you probably won't see a whole lot of people posting about their experiences and travels here. And I'm so glad that Krishan, with you, we have been able to check off a couple of places like that. Where we were able to share experiences related to travel, both from Tripura as well as Mizoram, right, of the sister states. That are, I guess, pretty much brings us to all of the seven sisters that we have covered on the podcast too. This was one of the last remaining, and I know when we spoke last time, I'd mentioned that Tripura also it was really difficult to get itineraries of people who had traveled there. Genuine, authentic itineraries. Obviously, there's people who have traveled there. It's just that getting hold of somebody and covering them on the podcast has always been a challenge, and I'm very thankful to you, Krishan, for coming on the podcast and covering off these two really gems of places that otherwise we wouldn't have had the opportunity to experience. Now, before we wrap up, Krishan, would you like to share, just in terms of if somebody's interested in reaching out to you or following your work, how we can do this? I know last time you mentioned that you are not too active on social media, but just wanted to check if something has changed.
Just before I share that detail, as you brought in Tripura into picture, Saif, I just wanted to mention, since we published that episode just before the Durga Puja, I have heard back from so many people on social media as well as on my WhatsApp that thank you for posting this, and many people actually planned for Durga Puja in 2023 following that podcast, and they could tell me that, oh, we covered so many pandals and so many pandals and etc etc. The credit goes to all the credit goes to Musafir Story for inspiring people to travel more and more and exploring all these places which are just gems, particularly in northeastern part of the country. Yeah.
No, I think you're just being modest. Krishan, the credit completely goes to you for firstly traveling to places that are offbeat, and second, agreeing to share those with a broader audience as well, right? So really, really thank you for doing that. And yeah, tell us if somebody wants to reach you or follow your travels, what would be the best way?
So I'm very much available on social media. You can reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. My Insta handle is INSANKG, Insan KG. Same goes on Twitter as well, and you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn with Krishan Insan. Same is my website as well, krishaninsan.com. So please feel free to reach out and let me know your travel stories. I will be happy to hear them.
Absolutely. We'll definitely make sure to include all of these links in the show notes. That way, listeners can reach out to you. Once again, from the bottom of my heart, Krishan, thank you so much for firstly coming back on the podcast and sharing such a wonderful, wonderful place, the land of the Mizos. From everything from its culture to its beautiful natural beauty, and a lot more things on the way and along the journey. Thank you so much, and really looking forward to having you on the podcast sometime soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me, Seth. And I really look forward to have wonderful episodes coming from Musafir Stories. And my day routine definitely includes Musafir Stories every day. Keep inspiring and keep doing great work. Happy to have chat with you on Mizo. Thank you.
That was yet another great episode on the Musafir Stories. Make sure to show us some love by sharing the podcast with your friends and family. We are on Instagram and Twitter at Musafir Stories. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM podcast app or the website. Follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram.